evening. Welcome to the September 9th West Clermont School Board Business Meeting. Mr. Romano, will you take roll, please?
Mr. Patton.
Present?
Mr. Rudy.
Present.
Mr. Chumley. Present. Ms. Sanborn.
Present.
Mrs. Spencer.
Present.
All present.
Thank you. At this point, will you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got it. Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
Next up is the agenda, the motion to adopt the agenda. I will make a motion that we adopt the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Rudy. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Will you take roll, please?
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Mr. Rudy.
Yes.
Mr. Chumley.
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn.
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer.
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you. I do believe we have someone for public speaking.
We do, and,
So let me read this real quick here, please. Fill out the card. Visitors who wish to address the board, oh, wait, I'm sorry. Jason Gray. So it says, visitors who wish to address the board are asked to state their name, address, and the school organization. Remarks must be addressed to the board and should be brief, about 3 minutes, and to the point. Speakers may offer such as objective criticism or suggestions regarding schools, organizations, or program. The board will not hear any personal complaints or school personnel or against any persons connected with the school district unless these complaints have been addressed through individual departments or administrative involvement. One of the things I'll say too, Jason, is that speaking, we just kind of listen, so it feels kind of awkward, but we will listen to your complaint, or your, not even complaint, we will listen to what you got to say, and then if anything needs to be addressed at a later date, we will do so, okay? We're just going to the card.
So my name is Jason Gray. I live at, you want the full address, is that what you want?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I think just,
4579 Muir Valley Court, Batavia, Ohio, 45103. I am a 2006 graduate of Amelia High School, so I've been in the district nearly my entire life. I have 4 children as well. 2 of those children are school-aged. They do not go to this district currently. We have chosen to send them to private school. The reasons we chose to send our children to private school was based on our feelings of teachers and values that we have. My wife grew up Catholic. Her mom worked extra to send them to private school. But I live in this district. I became involved in this process of what's going on when I learned from an offshoot Facebook group about we were trying to propose a new levy. I found it interesting that I had to find this out from an offshoot Facebook group, which I think was like something about Mount Carmel and past. It was not directly from the district. And being involved in one of those meetings that was back in early August, I believe, I was assured that we were very happy and pleased, the people that put on the event, that we were involved. They wanted more input from us. They wanted to seek out more communication from the public to get a better understanding of what we should do moving forward. Except I felt like during that meeting it was more or less a sales pitch for what was being proposed on August 26th. Because what we were given during that meeting was almost identical to the proposal that was given by the CAT team. I have a feeling that we have a lack of communication issue. If you look at most of the surveys and what the CAT team has presented, most of the people involved have some direct connection to the school, not necessarily just living in the district. So if we want more communication from people inside the district, we have to find a way to actually get those people involved. I'm here now. So far, based on what's been proposed, I cannot support moving forward with this levy. My taxes in the district have gone up roughly 76% since the year 2019. I'm young, I can still work, but a lot of people that I work with on a daily basis are on a fixed income. This is not uncommon to what you've probably heard already. So to pass something as another ask for a tax raise, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit of a burden, okay? I also went through to look at, hey, teachers are a big reason as to why someone chooses a school district, right? So if that's what our main concern is, do new buildings bring us new teachers? We have some new buildings in the district. I think we can look at what those numbers are prior to those buildings versus what they are now. If there's an influx in that, hey, we've covered one point. The next thing, Tammy, I've sent some questions that I would like answered as well.
Okay. And that last part, you said you sent Tammy some questions?
Yes, I had sent her some questions for you guys to address to the CAT team.
Okay.
So I didn't know if they were specifically for them or if they're really a board question, but just questions in general.
I assume she's forwarded those on to Natasha, so. Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it.
No, I don't have anything.
They've not been forwarded to you?
No.
Oh, okay. Thank you again, Mr. Gray. So moving on, it looks like to the consent agenda. We will first start with Dr. Foltz and the personnel.
Good evening. In front of you is the personnel agenda for September 9th, 2024. On the agenda today, we have the resignations of one middle school athletic director, one office assistant, and two paraprofessional aides. The agenda also includes the proposed hiring of one cafe worker, one custodian, and 4 paraprofessional aides. The agenda includes the proposed reassignment of a 3-hour cafe worker to a 3.5-hour. On this agenda, we have 2 teachers moving from a master's to a master's plus 15, and 2 teachers moving from a master's plus 15 to a master's plus 30. We also have the proposed approval of supplemental contracts for home tutors, building leadership team, the lighthouse team, elementary yearbook advisor, and band support, and coaches. Also included is the proposal approval for unpaid leave of absence, classified substitute personnel, and multiple school volunteers and student teachers. And then in the work beyond the contract section of the personnel agenda is the proposed approval for the CPI refresher training and cooperating teachers. This concludes the review of the personnel agenda submission for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Foltz.
Good evening. This evening, I'm requesting approval for 2 overnight field trips. The first field trip is to Camp Campbell Guard. This is a yearly field trip that 5th grade students at Clough Pike Elementary have taken for many years. This year, the trip is scheduled for October 7th through October 9th, and this is part of our outdoor education curriculum. For students who do have financial hardship, know that they have avenues they work through the PTO if paying for the trip is ever a burden for students. The second field trip that I'm seeking your approval for is for the high school cheerleading team to attend the National High School Cheerleading Competition. This year, that competition is being held in Orlando, Florida. The trip is scheduled for February 5th through the 10th. And again, this is something that when they're able to attend, because they've qualified to attend, they do seek this approval for this trip each year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 5.05 is a request for approval of the minutes, and that was for the meeting, the regular business meeting that was held on August 26, 2024. Item 5.05 are a list of donations, request to approve those donations as presented. They are Legendary Run Ladies Golf League donated 25 backpacks with school supplies, $450 in Target gift cards to Merwin Elementary for students in need, and $25 Starbucks gift cards for staff. Dollar Tree donated 3 boxes of various school supplies to Merwin Elementary for students in need. Mary Margaret Brewer donated office supplies to Merwin Elementary for the office. Cincinnati Reds Fun Ed Bat Program donated $250 to Willowville Elementary for physical education equipment and materials. And Cincinnati Vision Group donated a gift basket to West Clermont Middle School with information about children's eye care. So the request is for, on the consent agenda, items 5.01 through 5.05.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. You've heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a vote? I'm sorry, recommendation. Was there a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Sanborn. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
5 yes. Thank you.
Mr. Gephardt, do you want to start the next section?
Well, we're here, we gave you a recommendation where we went through a lot of the data, and we did a great job with our team. Steve will be here a little bit late today, but we wanted to provide that information to you. Through the work that we started with the CAT team in February, remember back, we did a couple of town halls that started back in November of last year, and we started the building tours over a year ago to try to get people in to take a look at our buildings. We went through I think we had 6 meetings, 6 CAT team meetings that led us to the recommendation. Tonight's an opportunity for you to digest what came forward in our last meeting, and we brought the CAT team back tonight, and SHP is behind me as well, and could answer some questions as well if you had specific questions based on the information that was provided. And I would just say again that the information provided is to give a lot of flexibility to the board, a lot of flexibility to our community for input, and moving in the direction that we would be moving as far as facilities go. Reminder again, we've got 3 buildings that are operationally costing us, could cost us as we continue to keep these buildings moving forward. However, we also know the time that we're in right now, and we do the best that we can do it with the facilities that we do have. We know that not every address gets the same opportunities, especially at the elementary levels or at the elementary levels, and we looked at that. So our CAC looked at purpose and design as well, of what goes on inside the buildings. I know from my office, we talk a lot about buildings and structure, but there's a whole nother piece of it, and that is the purpose and design of what actually goes on in those buildings and the opportunities and the flexibilities that we have in those buildings. And so we tasked our CAT to take a look at that, take a look at what they would like to see in the buildings, and to look at the aging buildings that we have, the limited space, and space is not just based on capacity, it's based on programs, specialized programs, and the ability to house all of our students. And so we are our principals have done a very, very good job of creating master schedules, creating spaces, and creating opportunities for our kids. And we know that we're at the point now where we need to look at those 3 aging buildings. We've got roof estimates that we talked about in our facilities committee meeting that could, obviously be a detriment to the district. So with that, I think that's enough for me as far as going forward. To give you guys an opportunity to respond, react, ask questions. And like I said, we have a CAT team here. We probably have other members in the audience from the CAT team, and then SHP, our architects are here as well.
So Mr. Romano, will you just put up the presentations just so we can look at 2 slides? One, to just revisit the challenges that the CAT team tackled, and then we can show the configuration that they proposed, just to refresh everybody's memory. So these were the challenges: aging facilities, overcrowded schools and classrooms, diverting funds away from students to facilities, inequitable facilities across the district, and inadequate modern spaces. And there's a whole lot of categories there. It's based on programming, lack of collaboration space, diverse learners, the wraparound services with mental health and the support services that have become part of what we know as schools today, and spaces for relevant modern curriculum to explore. And here, an example of this, just to give you a frame of reference, would be like a library versus what would be a modernized version of the library. So we still have some things that are more just from the past versus like taking us into the future. So those are the challenges that the CAT team addressed. And then if you'll go down a few slides to the proposal. Keep going.
Keep going, keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. That one, right there. This reflects the recommendation, so the idea that they presented last week was a 5th, 6th grade intermediate and a 7th, 8th middle school connected together on the same campus. It's not, the proposal is not meant to be another version of West Clermont High School. It's meant to feel like smaller environments, so that's the design of that. Connected where efficiencies would make sense. Replacing Merwin Elementary, replacing Holly Hill Elementary, and then addressing our challenge with preschool. And that was the part where it's a challenging topic, and the data that the team got back was very neutral. There wasn't an obvious selection, so that's why what you'll see on there is a combination of a 1-site option, a 3-site option, and then putting a preschool on every single site. And so that's something that still, it gives you the flexibility to decide what is best with the information that we provide at a later time. So that's just the summary. I thought I would just hit it quickly and then give the floor to you guys to ask questions.
Thank you.
I do have a
Yeah.
question. I appreciate all the work you guys did. I know it was very time consuming and energy sucking. A lot of stuff happened. I get it. But I was at one of the meetings, and I think unfortunately Steve's not here, but he brought up and asked if we could do a third-party survey, or he said, could we do a survey to ask specifically if the community would be willing to pass the bond levy? I understand that that's the bond committee, that's not you guys, but someone said, well, how would you feel about having that? Because it's very expensive to have something put on the levy. So we don't know if it's, I mean, right now I feel like it's kind of 50-50, and we're not really sure because of the tax hike that we just had and certain things. I mean, obviously, I think the kids deserve brand new, yeah, I think that they do, and I understand that the crowding in the buildings are old. But if we move forward, it would be great if we could just like really, really know how people, would really vote on it or not. I'm just asking if you guys would you be willing to be on the bond levy committee? And if you were, how would you feel about, because it'd have to be a third party, to my understanding, that's what SHP and I think Ms. Adams said, that you guys would have to do it like a third party, and they would send out a survey saying, this is how much your taxes would be raised, this is a levy, would you pass, would you vote for it? Right, and the third party would do that. So that would really, and I know that that's not really what the surveys and the data that you gathered speaks for itself, and I agree with that. It tells the story for sure. But it is still a very lingering question, obviously, and it's very expensive to do that. So I was just going to propose the question to you guys. Maybe it's not fair, you don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable, and that's fine too. I get it.
I'll jump in and say one thing. The board members acting in a board role, like sitting here tonight, can't be talking about and soliciting membership to a levy in this capacity tonight, sitting here in this
I can't ask
meeting.
the question if they would,
You can't.
if they were on the bond levy.
You can ask that. I'm
committee.
just saying you can't
Okay.
solicit if they would be on the bond committee sitting in your position tonight. So like that's something that can't happen in a board meeting like this. So that's one thing. The question on the table of, do you think it would be a good idea to do that as part of a bond? Sure, that's fine, that's fine.
Okay, there's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of agreed that a large portion of this process wasn't involving the financial piece of it. It's what would we like all of these children to have
Right,
access to.
absolutely.
And so kind of towards the end of it, the financial piece comes in, and I think we all have questions about that and would love to know. Because plenty of people that I've talked to certainly aren't as excited about it. So it'd be a great thing to have information on for sure.
My only concern would be that you're polling people who maybe don't have all of the information. They would just be, this is how much your taxes would go up. Do you support that or not? You guys know, just from us being here, it takes a lot of work to educate people on this process and what all goes into it and how complicated it is. And I think sending out something like that, it may not be as representative as if people came and learned about it and gave opinions.
Right. I understand. Makes sense.
Well, and I'll add just some information that could help down the road. Surveys like this are somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. So it would be something you would get done by a pollster. So it's certainly something that a levy committee could do. And that estimate might be low, that is maybe a few years old now, so it might be more expensive than that. But it's certainly something that you can pay people to do. And it's an important, just like I had just said, board members can't solicit people to be on a levy committee sitting in this meeting. We can't either. There are very strict rules in Ohio, and anything that comes out of this process would have to be led by a community-led group. It would not be led at this table. And so that's a significant difference in how we would go forward. So I'm just sharing that just so people know the commitment and what it really takes, because it is illegal for us to do a lot of things, because this has to be a community-based led effort. So.
Well, and I think Dan's going to put out some really videos, if he hasn't already, about educating people the difference between a bond levy and that kind of thing, which would be, it's great, because it's
Yeah,
a challenge.
we've updated our website. Thank you for reminding us about that. We updated all kinds of financial information on the website. There will be little short videos released throughout the month so that they can be shared and talked about on the soccer field and at bus stops and in the grocery store. And we are also we will begin to host in September what we're calling Financing Our Future meetings. Because just what you said, Amber, it's a lot to take in. It's complicated. Where does the school district money come from? How do you invest that money? What's the return on that investment? All those things it's not a black and white answer. There's lots of answers to each of those questions. And so our goal is to slowly but surely, in very small groups, bring people along in understanding all that. So that'll begin later in September, and we will just keep doing it probably for the next 2 or 3 years.
And like, to piggyback on that, you guys have been involved on multiple different levels now. What do you think is kind of one of the best strategies maybe for each one of you that kind of brought you more into being involved in something like this? Because that's kind of our main goal, is to bring the community in. And I love when people like Mr. Gray show up and are involved in discussion and stuff. So we want more of that. So like, what do you recommend? What's worked for you? Like, just to bring people here to the table.
What kind of brought me in is that, my kids are grown and gone, so I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak, as far as students are going to be educated in these buildings. But I live here, and I will continue to live here. And so what brought me in was trying to do what's best for the whole community. And if we can create good schools and consistent schools and good facilities and awesome opportunities for students in the education environment, then that only increases this value in the community, your property values, the thing as a whole. So that's what brought me in, is just wanting to continue to see this district move forward.
I think it's hard for me because I'm like super involved, so I don't know that it took a lot for me to get here. But the follow-up from like going to those town halls, you go to the town hall, you learn a lot of things, and they're like, well, we need people to be on this committee. And then they actually followed up and sent an email like, hey, you said you might want to do this committee. It's like, oh yeah, I did, I remember now, but then I'm here now. So I think the town halls, it's hard to get people in. I wish I had a better answer for how to get people to come to those town halls. It's hard when you're so inside to know what the people on the outside see or don't see.
I think kind of piggyback on what Jay said, good schools make good communities. Lifelong resident here, I want to see this community continue to grow and thrive. And I've also, as Amber said, involved in the schools, so already kind of inside, but I've seen the disparity, especially in the elementaries. My kids attended Brandon Elementary, and then my youngest moves over to the new summer side, and just the differences in environment with largely a lot of the same staff, so that was not a change. The staff were great at Brantner, they continue to be great at Summerside, but just the facility bringing a huge advantage there, and just my own experience that different. Forever ago, when I attended Glen Estee High School, the difference now looking at West Clermont High School and the opportunities my daughter and my niece have there. So I'd like to see more of the kids in the community have those opportunities, have that equality.
Yeah, similar sentiment for me, just want what's best for the kids. I'm obviously invested in it, but always hopeful for better schools and better environments, so.
So we need to start using our kids as bait more.
Yeah, right?
Thank you.
Are there other questions for the CAT team about the proposal?
I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work and dedication to the master facilities plan. I know you put a lot of hard work into it, and you wanted the board to know what we needed to know and all of this good information, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate all that you've done as a CAT team and moving this West Clermont School District forward. I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks.
I think it's great. I love all the information you guys have provided us. It's a ton. It's a lot to come over. It's taken weeks just to consume, so I'm sure it took a lot more to compile.
Which hopefully would show the community that this was not something that was just done on a whim. You guys did whatever you did as far as gathering your numbers, gathering your research. I've been to some of the town hall meetings. I wasn't as committed as far as coming to every one of them, but I've come to some of them, and so I hope that shows the community that, again, this is something that you as a CAT team and us as a board or school district is really taking the time to look to see what is best for our children and the community. So I think I'll have to echo what Sanborn as far as I appreciate your guys' time on this. Like I said, it was no easy task. I appreciate what you guys have done.
And like I've said before and many times before, this kind of hits home a little more for me because I have 2 kids at Irwin right now and soon to be 4. So I drive by that building every day. It's a small, old, little building that definitely needs some updating. So I personally appreciate what you guys are bringing to the table.
And I guess more of a statement, I guess, comment as well, is to make sure that we're clear on something, that on some of these things, this is not us as a district saying, oh, we just want shiny new things. Is that a fair statement? Like these are buildings that are, as Randy says, we're putting money into them, and it's like we're just, what's the saying, pouring good money into bad? Like it's just, so again, this isn't just West Clermont sitting up here saying with our wish list that we just love to have these new things. These are things that you guys vetted thinking, yes, these need to be done. Is that a fair statement? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, you hear so much conversation about the area in general in our district and how it's booming and all these nice new buildings and businesses are coming in. It's like, we have buildings that are over 60 years old. It's like, we need to, and these are our kids, like, we need to invest in them, so.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that was presented at one of the very first CAT meetings was, I mean, they gave us a 1-pager on every school, and it's like, this is how much it's costing to maintain these buildings.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, the middle school is huge, and the roof is huge, and it's expensive. And there was an HVAC thing, and just every time you see those numbers come up, that money has to come from somewhere. And at some point, I would assume that money takes away something else, because there's only so much money there to support the buildings.
That's a good statement.
Well, and Dan, can we revisit the data slide one more time? I just wanted to bring that up tonight and see if there's any, this one, yeah, right there. Go, no.
Oh.
Okay.
Go back. There you go.
Don't touch. Okay, so, Mr. Gephardt, you're gonna have to help me with the numbers a little bit, but just to remind everybody how this process worked, this survey started with the CAT team alone in May. Then it was shared out with district families and district staff. We had one of the highest return rates we've ever had. It was like 1,200, 1,300, 16 in the May. And then we did it again in July. We sent it out to say, okay, if you didn't get a chance to do this, please take your time to do it. So it was, again, our staff and it was our families. And another record-breaking, it was 1,100. So that's the highest return rate we've ever gotten from an internal survey when we included both staff and families. And then additionally, the community sample, there were 9,000 text messages sent out, and we got 400 responses. And that statistically is a good number that's reflective of our community. And in every single survey, the outcomes were the same. And so it shows an awareness. I think our communication efforts through the town halls and through the engagements, the tours, have helped inform people of what the true realities are. And I think that's the only way you get to a consistent outcome. Usually you don't get that kind of consistency from the very first survey to the widest audience. And so I just wanted to point that out because I'm not sure all that was maybe clear enough at the last meeting.
And
Jeff,
we'll have-
did I miss anything, Jeff, about that? Or, okay, all right.
We have the other
thanks.
two that we just put out again that we'll even have more data from. We're
Yes.
more specific with the staff because we think the staff obviously we need their voice as well. And we also did another parent that was more specific. And
Yeah,
so
and the
it's-
nature of the staff survey is to find out, A, how are you experiencing these challenges? Because everybody has their story. And it's going to be a different story at West Clermont High School versus West Clermont Middle School. We asked them to weigh in on this proposal to say, educationally, what's strong about it or not, operationally as well as financially, like what do you see as the benefits? And then the third thing that we had the staff kind of weigh in on is the challenges that we're facing, regardless of success in a future bond issue. These issues aren't going away, whether it's happens or not. And we know it's not going to happen in 10 minutes, in 1 year. It's going to be multiple years away. And that we may need to activate short-term solutions, such as increased class size, additional modulars, considering half-day kindergarten versus full-day kindergarten to free up space, staggered starts, redistricting. I mean, there's a whole litany of things that we would need to look at between now and when something happens, whether that's a failure or a passage. So that's just one thing to note. And then we asked very similar questions in the parent survey, but we also asked just some basic awareness questions. Things like, do you know we have the largest middle school in the state of Ohio? Do you know this middle school starts earlier than any middle school or any school in the entire state? Do you know that we offer full-time kindergarten in West Clermont when the state requires half-day and we don't charge for that? Do you know that preschool for special education students is mandated? So we are just trying to get a feel for, do people know that this is part of the story, that this isn't just like Mr. Patton said, it's not about just we want some new things. There are some realities to our situation that we just weren't sure if everybody really knows. And so we wanted to just kind of test that out. So I'll be able to bring the results to the staff survey as well as the parent survey coming up here, probably early October will be when we'll have that ready. And we'll share that with everybody to see those details. Because it is, at first glance, it's very good information just to better understand the picture and the realities that everyone faces. So.
Have you gotten any results back from the survey?
Yeah, we had over close to 800, somewhere in there with the staff. 750, I just can't remember the number off the top of my head, and it could have changed since I last looked at it. And then I haven't looked at the number. The staff one just went out, was it Thursday or Friday? Or sorry, the community one. Last week, and so I haven't gone into the system to see how many we've gotten back. So we will do some prompts to do some nudging to remind to get those numbers up, but I'll take a look this week and let you know what I'm seeing.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So with that, unless there's any other questions for the CAT team, and I know Steve, thank you for joining us. Do you have something you want to say tonight?
Yeah, I apologize for being late. I was downstairs making a presentation of this
Okay.
to another community organization.
Duties call.
My question is, what is the next step on the timeline?
Okay, I'll be explaining that, actually, after this vote. I'll be explaining the entire timeline to take us all the way through December, so I'll get into those details.
Stand by to stand by.
Yes, stand by to stand by, yes. So the resolution that we are calling for tonight, it is asking the board, I guess, three main things. It's number one, a vote to acknowledge that the challenges that the CAT team tackled are the challenges of the district. It acknowledges that the CAT team's proposal has potential to address those challenges. And the third part of the resolution is to say, with that potential, we want to know more. We want to know what's the educational impact of this presentation that they've made, what's the instructional impact, what's the operational impact, what is the financial impact, so that you have more information in your arsenal to make decisions. So that's what tonight's resolution does. It asks you to verify that these challenges are the challenges you see, that the CAT proposal has potential, and you want to know more. You want to dig into it deeper in order to make a very informed decision down the road that I'll talk about soon, what that road will look like. So with that, the superintendent request, I want to read this correctly, recommends that the board approve the resolution accepting the Community Advisory Team Facilities Plan recommendation as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. You've heard the recommendation. Would someone like to make a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Mr. Rudy? Mr. Chumley? Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
5 yes.
So Mr. Romano, if you'll get the graphic up. This is something I've been sharing with the staff as I've been going around to each building, and that we will share out on social media as soon as I can get the graphic more appropriate for social media in a way that will make sense to people. It's a lot to consume at one time. And what it does is it combines the engagement process that we'll continue to use with our community with the decision-making process of the board. So if you look up there, we're at September 9th. So we had our kickoff Blazing New Trails Town Hall, and the purpose of that town hall was to share our strategic plan and kind of talk about the road that we've been on up into this place, with that critical decision point coming later when it comes to our facilities. So that's what the Blazing New Trails was about. It was kind of a culmination, really, of 3 years of town hall work, kind of resulting in that meeting, and then talking about that next step. Zeroed in specifically on facilities at the end of that discussion. We had you guys come last week, or August 26th, to make your recommendation, and then we kicked off shortly after that the feedback loops from our staff and then our parents. Tonight, the board considered a plan that went through, and the next step will be this. On September 23rd, we will bring forth the 2030 financial plan. What we're trying to do is to look at the strategic plan, all the operational needs of the district, and map them out so that the board has a strong sense of what will be in our plans very specifically in the next 2 years, and then what we project out to 2030. We're trying to be very mindful of looking down the road at our operational needs, renewal levies, like all the things that you need to consider so that the school and community get the big picture as well as the details of where we are today. On September 18th, we will be kicking off another round of town halls at Holly Hill. That'll include a building tour at 5:15 with the town hall starting at 6. And we would love for people to come and participate and understand what really has been going on in discussions over our district for the past 3 years and where it can take us to the next level. We will begin, as I mentioned earlier, the Financing Our Future miniature sessions with Dan and myself on September 26th. And that's with a small group of people. We're going to begin with business leaders, and then we'll continue to make opportunities available throughout the year, so just stay tuned for more of those. October 4th, we're calling out an alumni event. It's homecoming, and so we want to make sure that as part of our engagement process, we're always connecting with alumni, helping them know that it's not about brick and mortar, it's about the relationships, the legacy of West Clermont, and staying connected to one another. So that's a special event at the high school. Then moving deeper into October, we will move our town hall to Merwin. We will have another tour and town hall at Merwin that we'll continue to educate the community on what it looks like inside. Okay, keep going. On October 15th, my team will come back to the table, and much like the CAT team presented to you guys, we will present all the financial, educational, and operational implications of the proposal that the CAT team made. And we will update the proposal specifically around preschool and any other, if we've gotten new information or anything additional between now and then that is pertinent to this process, we will bring that information to the table on October 15th, laying it all out. And so in that process, we will look at the district vision, the purpose and design of school. We'll look at what is this going to look like operationally? If we would combine schools, what would be the administrative breakdown? When another kind of complicated part of the puzzle is looking at what would we offer then program-wise, specifically when it comes to specials? What would that look like in elementary? How would that change when we move it to the middle school and have a 5, 6, 7, 8? As we all know right now, elementary specials in our school have been taken away and then slowly brought back. When I first came to West Clermont, they were about 8 to 12 days a month. We've been able to get them up to now 4 days a week for all students. We're still not at full specials. And so we need to say, like, what does that look like going forward? And that'll be part of that process. The board will not vote at that point. They will just hear out all the new data that I bring to the table, any additional information we've learned along the way, anything that we know from OFCC, from our surveys, and from all the analysis specifically that the operations department is doing, because it's a heavy lift, looking at everything from fields and turf to HVAC to windows to pavement and roofs. All of that will be looked at. On October 28th, we'll bring a proposal forward to the board to vote on, kind of similar to tonight. It still will not put something on the ballot. It will just affirm that what the board has heard seems like it's going in the right direction, seems like it's going to be a viable solution, and it kind of takes it to the next level. It's the signal to all of us that this is moving forward, but it still doesn't put it on the ballot yet. November 4th and 5th is our professional development days. It'll give me a chance to share with the staff kind of what the status of the process is, where we are, and share with them the kind of the future plans of West Clermont. Then we will focus on the middle school in the month of November. There will be another tour opportunity as well as town hall. And then November 25th is really the first board action. It's called a resolution of necessity that the board would make to begin the process to put something on the ballot. That's where it signals to Dan to work with the auditor's office, to involve legal, to make sure that all of our numbers are agreed upon from all parties, that we understand the millage, that we have the language correct. It starts that process. And so the first step is November 25th. And then to finalize that and move it even further is December 9th, and that's called a resolution to proceed. Those two steps together move us to, in January, getting it on the ballot in preparation for a May bond issue. And so the rest of the timeline just shows that once we know where the board stands and where this plan is going, it will continue to, we'll continue our communication engagement plan, more community engagement events, State of the Schools, Love WC, all the things that we typically do second semester, we'll continue to do and probably ramp that up quite a bit. So, Mr. Shields, does that answer your question?
Lovely.
Okay, great. Board members, questions about the timeline, anything that you see is missing that we need to consider?
No, I think it's a great timeline. You've done a phenomenal job.
So I don't have a question, I have more of a statement again,
Okay.
to continue to bring the community along so they can see that these are needs, not wants. Again, even if your child don't go to Holly Hill, come look at Holly Hill. Come take a tour to see what Holly Hill looks like. Don't base off of some of the other buildings that have been there or that are currently there. If your child doesn't go to Merwin, I say Merwin? Merwin, come to Merwin, take a look and see what Merwin looks like and see what the insides look like as far as what they're working with. So again, that's just, that's how we get the community to come together is, just don't think, well, because my kid don't go to the middle school, I'm not gonna go to that school to take a look. Come take a look and see what's under, I think somebody said, come look to see what's under the hood. So you can see what we have.
Well, and in the meantime, we have a re-releasing of the videos of each school. So those will continue to play, and they've already started on social media throughout the month of September.
And something else I want to just comment about all of this information. All of this information, majority of this information is public knowledge. It's on our website, it's on board docs, it's open to the public. This here that she's posted, this is not like some secret that we as the board members can only see. This is open to the public. By all means, jump on board docs, jump onto our website.
Yeah, and I can direct you specifically, because it feels almost like a blur sometimes. So we kicked off the conversations around the district challenges in February of '21 and had a town hall about there was about 3 a semester for the last 3 years. And then that process evolved into this CAT team that formed to continue to go deeper under the hood and make some recommendations. And we had the Citizens Advisory Commission focus on the strategic plan. And the whole point of this was to understand what we wanted to happen inside of the schools, that we weren't going to talk about brick and mortar before we talked about what experiences we want our kids to have, so that the right focus was front and center, and then facilities come next. And so the town halls that are coming up this semester are really about the culmination of all those discussions, saying we discussed, we listened, we heard what people had to say, and these are the decisions that we've made based on the feedback. And now we're at this critical point. We've modernized our learning, and that process is going well. We are working hard to modernize our workforce so that our staff is equipped to handle the challenges of a 21st century learner. And it feels weird to say 21st century as we're so knee-deep in it. But the modern learner and the challenges that kids come with today need special attention and special skills and development. And you probably notice in the news, the workforce in education it's dwindling. Fewer people are going to college to be educators. And so we are working hard to figure out every strategy we can to make this an attractive place to work, a place to have your career and have a meaningful impact on kids' lives. And so we're focused on that. We're focused on building up our partnerships. We know PTOs and boosters alone can't make the world go round in a school district anymore. It's not enough partnerships. We need very robust partnerships, more like what we have with Mercy, which is an incredible investment that Mercy Hospital makes in West Clermont School District. And so then that fourth piece is the learning environment. And right now, it's not until you walk in Merwin one day and then you go to Summerside the next, does it hit you in the face to say that inside of the same district, these kids are getting a vastly different experience. And that's just something we can't hide from. We can't pretend it's not true, because it is. And so that's all we're just trying to bring that out into the open and have people be a part of that conversation. So Blazing New Trails will continue to be about the strategic plan, will continue to be a place for people, whoever wants to come, to weigh in on the CAT recommendation and what they see going forward, that I think will be very good information. And I guess I went off on a tangent, but the whole point in what you said is on our website, on the section that's called Town Halls, all the data we've collected since February of '21 is there. The survey data, artifacts from the meetings, everything that we look at, you can look at. So that's all. Oh, I have one more comment, actually, in my comment section here. I promised Eric I would do this today. It is Attendance Awareness Month in West Clermont. And so just this evening, our parents got a reminder email about an effort. We are partnering with FC Cincinnati and Stay in the Game across Ohio to really encourage this, because we have a significant issue here in our schools with chronic absenteeism. Last year in West Clermont, 30.2% of the students in West Clermont were considered chronically absent. And what chronically absent means by definition is that it's students who have missed 10% or more for any reason. And it might shock you to know that 10% or more just can mean 2 days a month. And so when 30.2% of our students aren't coming to class, it's very difficult to achieve the high level of results that we want our students to achieve and to get the outcomes that we want them to get. So we're trying to just bring some awareness to it. Our number one strategy for improving attendance is becoming a highly relevant, engaging classroom that students, can't wait to get out of bed to come to school. Like, that's the kind of classroom we want to have. But there are secondary strategies for relationship building, incentives, and different fun things that we can do to engage and encourage students, because this level of intervention really needs a personal touch. Kids have to know that we care about them. And just like we often say, we want everybody here, we want their name to be known, their story to be known, their needs and their strengths. And we want to respond to those needs. And this is something we've really got to zero in on, or we'll never achieve the results that we know that our kids have the potential to achieve. So that's it for my comments now. Thanks.
Ms. Adams.
Okay, thank you. Just want to echo the sentiments of the board and the superintendent, show my appreciation to the CAT team at the table and in the audience. I think the big difference with this committee is it was a working committee. You don't come up with recommendations without doing your homework, without doing the work, so I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into that. Secondly, it was mentioned about the financial information on the website. And so we put a lot of data and information out there, but as you look at that, if there is something missing that you want, you need to let us know. What we try to put out there is not what we wanted you to know, is what we heard that you said you wanted to know. Okay, so we wanted to be responsive to the community on that, to do that. The other thing is on the Financing Our Future sessions that we will do, kind of an open invitation with that too. A lot of times with the town halls, we're inviting you in to come to us. If you want us to come to you, we will do that too. So again, it's really about our ability to inform you, provide the information that you want, that you need to make sound decisions, to be confident in what the school district is doing for you with your money.
And Dan, I'll add, if everyone goes to our team, which is the heading at the top, down to departments, you go to the treasurer's department, and there's a section called School Funding and Budget Basics. And that's where you will find understanding West Clermont school finance.
Can't stress enough, though, if there's other information that you want and need, contact us, call us, we'll get you the information, and don't necessarily have to put it on the website. If you want it directly to you, we'll provide that to you.
Thank you, Mr. Romano. Okay, good. So we're moving on to board comments. I'll start with Ms. Sanborn.
My comment is to the COO and the CPO. I know that there is future development of land in the Merlin Elementary and the Holly Hill Elementaries. Have you both had an opportunity to drive around and look at the prediction of the future growth of our buildings and include the pre-K students as well? We do not want to build a building and then come up later and tell the taxpayers, oh, we need a bigger building now, or we're going to go back and get more money from the taxpayers. I think we need to make sure from the start that we have a building that is future ready, that we can build on and we can have future students in that building versus having a building that we're short on floors and we need more space, like what happened at the high school. That's it.
Okay. Sorry, for the long pause, I apologize. I must have went somewhere. I apologize. Ms. Spencer?
I don't really have any comment. I appreciate the time and energy you guys put into this. I know it took a lot of time away from your families and other extracurricular activities you could be doing tonight, but I appreciate you guys putting your time and energy into it. So our district's in the right way, moving in the right direction. We just have to keep pushing forward.
Thank you. Mr. Chumley?
Thank you, Mr. Gray, for coming out. Like I said, we'd love to see more of our community come out. That's something we've been pushing for such a long time. I know you addressed transparency since I've been here 5 years now. That's something we've come leaps and bounds on since before I was here. I know that. But it's something we can always be working on and something we are striving to work on. So we're going to push the transparency. So that's something you can be assured on. I hope we can address your questions, which we will. They will get pushed to the proper channels, and you will hear back from someone. So thank you for coming and addressing your concerns. Always feel free to do that because I love hearing it, so, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rudy?
Just reiterate everything else that was said. You guys did a wonderful job. Because I understand everything completely. Thank you for all that hard work.
Thank you. To kind of circle back, I didn't drift away. I was kind of thinking that when Ms. Amber was talking, is that, no, I wasn't taking it ahead, but I wanted to kind of echo with what she's saying is that we have, I don't want to say a shot at this, but this is a good shot at this. And we need to make sure that we have all of the numbers accurate, as accurate as we can. And so I was just, in my head, I was thinking that I agree that we just need to make sure that we're looking at all the numbers because our district is constantly building new houses. I feel like if they have an acre of lot, they'll put 10 homes in it. So it's, we just need to make sure that we are future ready, as she said. Again, as everybody continues to echo, and I've said at our last meeting, guys, I truly appreciate the time and the effort that you guys put into this. Like I said, it was no easy task, and you guys really took the time and put the effort into that. I really appreciate that. To all of our guests at the board meeting tonight, I appreciate everyone that showed up. Again, this is how we continue to move in a direction and continue to get that information out there. And so I hope that you guys continue to be involved and get involved, and hopefully we can answer most, if not all, of your questions. So with that being said, I think I've rambled enough. There is a need to go into executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, disciplinary promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee. With that being said, I'll put that in form of a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. Is there any discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Rudy?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Ms. Sanborn?
Yes.
Mrs. Spencer?
Yes.
5 yes?
I do not believe we'll be coming back out to vote on anything. Everything has been done, so. Oh,